Hey everyone, Raziel here, coming back at you with another Smite God build for the Xbox One, or any platform really for that matter. This week we're bringing Hou Yi, the Defender of the Earth, the Chinese hunter that can also be known as Hou Yeezus, and he's a straight up beast if played right and built right, which we'll be going over here shortly with his kit and his item build. This video is primarily for those who have not used Hou Yi before, who need a refresher course, or people who want to understand why a Hou Yi just melted their health instantly in the previous match, and they Googled the shit out of it and got here. If you liked the video, please hit that thumbs up and subscribe to the channel, and leave a comment below for future guides that you want. More content will be coming, at least one god build a week, plus random shenanigans as it happens. In this video, we'll be going over his ability, or his kit as I call it, his relics, his item build, which is primarily for conquest, and his combos and fighting scenarios. This is for patch 3.14, or the Pi patch, as it's so lovingly been termed. And things may change if you're viewing this after that patch, or they might not, depending on what gets buffs, what gets nerfed, etc., etc. Before we get into it here, I am going to go over a little bit of housekeeping and go over every episode because it's going to be spanning multiple platforms. Excuse me. And that is simply because of the fact that I use the Savage build on the Xbox One. You may be using Legacy, which I think just recently came out, or just a standard build. You could be using a PS4, which has shapes instead of letters, and if you're on the PC or the Mac, you have a different UI altogether. And because of that, I'm going to be going over his kit as 1, 2, 3, and 4. His 1 being the furthest ability to the left, and his 4 being his ultimate. Hopefully that will clear up any confusion. Depending on what platform you're on, no matter what, we'll understand each other here and get the callouts. So let's start going over his abilities, or his kit. His passive is Sun Touched. After taking a critical hit, Hou Yi can't be critically hit again for 3 seconds. This is a good, very good passive if you're going against a high crit team comp. It was more prevalent in Season 2, where the crit items were pretty much a standard item in every hunter build. Now it's a few hunters. Now it's Artemis, Hunbats, type of scenarios. It's good against them. Crit items are, trickling back into the item builds, but they weren't as prevalent as you'd have to double stack crits, etc., etc. Mercury used to have 3 crit items back when Golden Bow was still a thing. Now I don't know what his build is exactly. I haven't looked at it recently. His 1 is Ricochet, and this is one of his. Well, I think all of his kit essentially is very noticeable when you play against him. But this one is his big damage dealer. It is the moneymaker if you get the ricochets. It's the name. Hou Yi fires a powerful shot that can ricochet off walls. After firing, the arrow bounces off a wall. It will travel another 70 units from that point and gain 50% bonus damage per bounce, up to a maximum of 2 bounces. The arrow will stun a target if his Mark of the Crow, or Mark of the Golden Crow, which is actually his 2, which we'll go over next, is on that target. Okay, so we'll just go over the stun. If the Crow, Mark of the Crow, is on your target and you hit them with this, it stuns them. Pretty awesome. It's very helpful in setting up for your other abilities to come, or your team, etc., etc. Now, we're going to go over the big thing here. Okay? Damage at max rank is 230, okay? Plus an additional 60% of your physical power. 60% is pretty good, considering some gods, 60% is their highest. And this is on his 1. This is, it's 60% scaling on his 1. Now, the stun duration is only 1 second across the board, but that 1 second can mean a lot. So, it's 230 plus an additional 50% if you get him off the bounce. And another 50% after that if you get them off the second bounce. So if you're able to get them in a scenario where you hit them with a triple bounce, you are going to melt them down pretty quick. I don't know the exact math. There are people out there who have probably done it, but I'm going to say you probably can potentially, depending on your level and the enemy's level that you're going against, you could potentially one-shot them, although it would be 3 bounces technically, or you could melt a half to 3/4 of their health pool with this one ability. And if it has, Mark of the Golden Crow on there, it's going to set it up even more and, set you up to follow up with a few other abilities. Or your teammates to come in to the sweep, which would be a kill steal, but it happens, and we move on. It's his beast freaking damage dealing wave clear move. You can wave clear straight down the line, or you can figure out the bounce scenario where you get first half of the wave with the melee minions with the normal damage. You bounce off and you get the 50% on the back, which would be the archers. Anyway, his 2 is Mark of the Golden Crow, which I'll probably might just say by accident Mark of the Crow, because who gives a shit about that golden part? It's a debuff on an enemy player. He marks the enemy with the Mark of the Golden Crow. The marked enemies take extra damage for every 10% of their missing health from Hou Yi's abilities and his basic attacks. Okay, so they're missing 90% of the health. At max rank, he gets an additional 5%. Not missing 10%. They're at 90% of the health. So the further down you chip away their health, the more damage you're going to do. What does that mean? Okay, the enemy is at half health when you mark them. Your abilities and basic attacks will do an additional 25% damage. That's pretty damn good. All right, that's pretty damn good to go against. So you have them marked and you triple bounce them. You're gonna melt them. That's gonna be the phrase of the day: melting their friggin' health pool, health points, whatever you friggin' call them. So anyway, at rank 3, marked enemies that are visible to Hou Yi on the minimap, including stealth gods. So you got a Loki. You make sure to mark his friggin' ass once you get this to rank 3, because you want to know where the hell he is at all times. Okay, I think he's the only stealth. Oh, Ao Kuang as well, but you don't see Ao Kuang as much as Troll Lokis. At rank 5, he gains 25% penetration against the marked enemy. The mark lasts for 15 seconds. So, okay, so you do potentially, 10, an additional 5% damage, 5 to 45% damage, we'll say, depending on what their health is. And you get 25% pen at max rank. Okay, that's pretty damn good. 25% pen is a lot. It's a friggin' item, almost. I mean, Titan's Bane, I think, is 33% penetration as its passive. So that's pretty good. In his kit, he has an item penetration build. So, I mean, we'll go over this when we go over this item build. So this affects his item build a little bit as well. So we're going to his 3 here, which is Dive Bomb. It's his leap. This he launches into the air for a short time. He kind of hovers there, and he can target where he wants to land. And he'll dive quickly to the ground, damaging all enemies in a radius circle there. And if the target is marked with the Golden Crow, they'll be knocked up in the air. Okay, so this comes into play if you're team comped with a Wheelix. It's set up for her ultimate. If you're going against an Wheelix, you do this and she'll pluck you out the air. When I play a Wheelix and I'm going against a Hou Yi who doesn't think, like, holy shit, a Wheelix is coming at me, I'm going to get the hell out of dodge, they do up the dive bomb and I pluck their ass down and dead. Just do my combos, boom, gone. It's a good ability because it gets you out of, the rings, Kabrakan shit. I think you can go over the wall, Ymir's wall as well. It's a good escape, and it's also a good chase, right? I've had to use it more in chase than initiations. Now, if your team is ready to go in, they want you to dive bomb. It's also good for initiations, but more than not, it's an escape and a chase that I use it for. His ultimate, or his 4, is Sunbreaker. Now, this has to do with his lore and everything else, so if you don't really understand what the hell is going on when this happens, his lore, there was 9 suns, they were scorching the earth, etc., etc. He was tasked with taking care of it, and he shot down 8 of them and kept the last one that we see in the sky. So that's what this is. Hou Yi shoots 9 arrows into the sky, striking 1 sun with each arrow. The 9 suns comes crashing down one by one. Okay, maybe there was 10 suns, and he took 9 out. I don't know. Dealing damage in the area. And the area is pretty big. Over time, A target marked with the Golden Crow, this has got a theme here with the Golden Crow, will have their movement speed slowed by 20% every quarter second. Or no, 20% for a quarter second on every hit that happens. Okay? Now, I forgot to mention this on his 3. That's the additional 60% physical damage scaling on that. And then for this, there's 25% for each sun that comes down. So it's 120 times 9. It could potentially be 1,000 damage right there if they stay within the 9 suns. And they don't, they get 4 suns. That's still 480 plus 60% or 25% of your damage. I mean, it does a lot. Most people know to get the hell out of the suns, but if you're CC'd in there, you're stuck in a Odin wall or Hades alt, Odin ring, excuse me. Then this can do a lot of damage. Ares as well. This is a good alt with an Ares. So those 3 gods are pretty much where you want to would set you up good with this ability. So it does a lot of damage. Now I'll go over the combos with this at the end of the video. But again, his kit is just with the mark of the Golden Crow. It sets him up for CC, knock up, etc., etc. Just damage out the ass in his Ricochet. Great god. I enjoy playing him. I don't play him as much because I'm playing a lot of gods, obviously, for these research for these videos, etc. But he's fun. In ranked, I played him a lot. If he didn't get banned or picked up, I think I would take him if I was playing carry. That's his kit. Next, we're going to be going over his relics. Now, this is situational. I say that every video. Situational based upon your team comp and the team comp of the enemy that you're going against. For conquest mostly, and I think probably really mainly for anything. Assaults, maybe assault is always different because you can't go back to fountain, so you have to plan accordingly. But they have a lot of CC on their team. You're gonna want purification. Straight up, Ares. You're gonna Hades, Ao Kuang. You can get out of his ult with the purification. Same with the Wheelix. Neza, you can purificate out of his ult. There's a lot. Ymir, Medusa. There's a lot of CC in this game now. So purification, more times than not, will get picked up. If you're not worried about it, you can hold off and not use it. You can go with a med or a sprint or something like that. But more times than not, you're going to go purification. Now, I usually put that right there because that's X on my screen, and that's it's closest to my thumb on my right stick, under the Savage build. So that's why I switch those if you ever watch my videos. The second relic should always, again, be situational. They've got a Nuwa, they've got a Neath. You can go with Sanctuary, Thanatos. You can go with the Sanctuary to cover that, the global alts, the execution, etc. Sprint is always good when you're trying to get the hell out of dodge in the dual lane. But by the time you get in this, you're going to be, 1v1ing, boxing the other carry potentially. So you're not going to need it. Plus, he has some decent getaway abilities. If everything's going right, you don't need med, you don't need sanctuary, you don't need sprint. I try to go frenzy. If our jungler doesn't pick it up, I go frenzy because it's going to come in handy mid to late game when you're trying to take those objectives. Whether it's Gold Fury, whether it's Fire Giant, but more importantly, if you're going out against towers and you're going against phoenixes, this does a lot of damage to those objectives. You can take towers solo, split pushing with this. You manage to get tier 1 tower, and you can probably burn down the tier 2 before anyone gets to you if you play your cards right and you press frenzy. It's just a great item to have, and even in a team fight, this applies to everyone in a certain radius. In a team fight, this will help as well because your team will go freaking batshit crazy and start beating on the enemy team. So those are the 2 relics I try to go. Again, if you don't need purification, sprint helps out for the chase and the runaway. Sanctuary again. All situational. You might want to go Thorns. You could even go Sunder with a little extra damage in addition to your Ricochet. So, it's your playstyle and everything else, but I think these two items are what you're going to go more times than not when you play a game. Next into his item build. Hou Yi is a hunter. Where the hell am I? It's not suggested. Hou Yi is a hunter. Now granted, they are basic attack oriented, but his kit is beast mode, which means he's going to be mana hungry. And because of that, you're going to want to rush Transcendence, because it gets you a lot of mana once you get full stacks. It makes it so you can stay in lane 2 to 3 times longer, just straight up using abilities. In addition to that, it gives you a good damage boost, because it's based upon your mana. Your total mana is converted into physical power. So, it's a win-win. You get more physical power, you get more mana. Right after that, you're going to want to go into Warrior Tabby. Why? Physical power. I mean, he's a beast. 60% scaling on his 1 and his 3. The more physical power you have, the more damage they're going to do. Plus your basic attack's going to do great too. After that, we're going to go to my staple here for the lifesteal. Aussie. Now, this is up for debate. A lot of people underestimate Aussie. I put it in just about every build I have that is a physical attack god. Hunter, assassin, and even potentially my warriors. Because it's physical penetration, attack speed, and lifesteal. Plus the passive's not too bad. You get additional lifesteal when you're below percentage of health. But the penetration is what's key. Yes, with Mark of the Golden Crow, you get a certain percentage of penetration. This extra 15 pen is going to help. More importantly, you get that attack speed, which is great for hunters, and for what my next item is. And you get a decent amount of lifesteal. Now, the other side of the coin is people might tend to lean towards Bloodforge. Now, I'm going to put Aussie in here, in my abilities here, my item build, but I'll hover over Bloodforge. It's got 75 physical power, and this is why people love it. Well, that and the passive. The new passive this season is pretty damn good, too. You get physical life, 15% lifesteal, which I think is the same amount. Yeah, you get the same amount of lifesteal no matter what. But when you get a kill, you get a nice little shield. It's a Bloodforge. I prefer the attack speed in the pen, specifically because the next item, the 4th item, is an item I always try to get on any god that's physical, if it works, because it's just an underrated, awesome freaking item, which I hope they never nerf. And I hope not a lot of people love it as much as I do. It's kin size. If you've seen my other videos, I put this in just about every hunter build. I put this, I think, in every assassin build I've done so far, and maybe even a couple of the warriors. I mean, like Thanatos, probably I wouldn't put it in here because he's more ability based. A Thor maybe wouldn't put it in. He's more ability based. But every hunter, for the most part, I think I might put it in. Maybe not an Artemis. I might go more crit than kin size and Artemis, but that's for a different video. It's 40 physical power, which is great. More attack speed, which is great. I mean, what are we at right now with attack speed? We are at 1.4 out of 2.5. So we're over halfway. Oops, that's the wrong button. That. But the passive is why I always pick this up. Basic attack hits, which you're going to be doing mostly with most of your hunters, deal physical damage equal to 4% of the target's maximum health. This only affects the gods. Minions. By this point, you're burning minions anyhow. So you're doing your base damage plus an additional 4%. Or, I mean, I believe that's what it is. And I believe that's correct. I mean, I think if they do physical defense, it's effective by that. But you've picked up penetration already. Okay? Your Marker of the Golden Crow has penetration. So it's going to increase the damage that your base damage does, and then the kin size. I mean, you get 10 hits on a god, and like Ymir is shitting his pants. his frozen pants because you just chunked down half his health. And he doesn't know what the hell's going on. The next item is an item that's made a resurgence, I think. And very recently as well, because they reworked it. And that's the Executioner. Now, I think before the first half of the season, a lot of people were going Titan's Bane because it gave you that physical power, but also gave you additional penetration. Well, you've got penetration in the Aussie. You've got penetration in the Mark of the Golden Crow. So you're pretty good off with penetration. People are leaning back towards this Executioner because, unlike the Iqval, which would have also been another potential, as you can see right below this item on the left there, the Iqval really only does it against physical gods and reduces the physical attack damage. So if you're going against a mage, the Iqval isn't as potent, but the Executioner is across the board. And the passive for the Executioner is basic attacks against the enemy reduce their target's physical protection by 12% for 3 seconds. The max stacks. So you can have a 36% reduction in their physical protections. Like that. Okay? Boom, boom, boom. For 3 seconds. And I don't know if it refreshes, but as soon as even if it doesn't refresh, so I never pay attention. I just try to hit the hell out of the enemy. You can get those 3 hits again really quick. So you got penetration, Mark of the Golden Crow. You got penetration in Aussie, and now you're reducing their physical protections, which is essentially a penetration. That's a freaking word of the day right now, penetration. I know a couple of you might be giggling right now at me using that word so much. In this item here, I mean,
very well.
Season 2, I forget exactly what the item was, but this Executioner was, again, one of those items. It was the kin size of this season for me, you know? So, everyone built Executioner. Everyone built Deathbringer, and everyone built, Rage or something like that. This season, Brit's, taking a back door. Penetration was a big thing in the beginning. Kin size for me has always been around. Aussie and kin size are the 1-2 for me. And if you look actually over there on the right, this tree is completely built on Hou Yi. Now that's why now it's going to make its way into my other builds, hunter builds in the future here. But this entire tree is the bee's knees for Hou Yi. At this point, you're doing a lot of damage, a lot of penetration. Your attack speed now, with that additional 25%, is up to 1.66. You're doing a lot of... You're shooting pretty fast from the hip. Okay, so the next and last item at this point is probably Deathbringer. Now again, this could be your personal preference. Deathbringer will get you the most crit, the most damage for the bang for your buck. You could also... I'm going to put it in, because it gives you 50 physical power, 20% critical chance, plus an additional 40% as its passive. You're going to be critting a lot with this thing. Additionally, you could go Wind Demon. I'm putting Wind Demon in a few of my builds now because on crits, now you don't get that additional 40% crit chance. You do the same, and you get a little bit less physical power, but you get a speed buff, in movement and attack speed by 20% for 5 seconds every time you crit. So if you're doing a lot of crits, you could be dancing around, you could be chasing, you could be attacking, you even getting more attacks in, which would be more crits. So you could go Deathbringer, or you could go with this Wind Demon. And I believe in patch 3.15 there's a new crit item that could be put in here, and it kind of does like a little bit of a weakening curse on the enemy. So it'd be like kind of the opposite of the Wind Demon in the sense that it would slow them down and or reduce their attack damage or whatever. So these 3, even though it's not here, depending on when you watch this video, are the final items that you could potentially go. Deathbringer, Wind Demon, or whatever the new crit item is. I forget what the hell it's called. It just got released on Wednesday in 3.15 patch notes. So that is the build This will work for conquest, assault, siege, etc. Now, there is potential for you to be getting pooped on. You're way far behind, and you need to put a defense item in there. Or you're playing assault, and you want to put a defense item in there. Go for it. You might want to take executioner out and put a defense item in. And then maybe a defense item before kinsides. I mean, it's all situational. This build, though, try this out. It will do some damage. You'll be able to learn the god a little bit better, his nuances, and be able to go toe-to-toe with other hunters in the dual lane, with any other god, etc., etc. So, now we're going over his combos and fighting scenarios. Yeah, I'm going to move him around here. As you can see, we're doing some pretty good damage there. 328. I'm granted he's level 1, but whatever. Whoa, that was a crit there. That was twice. Alright, so his attack speed's pretty good here. Alright, so before we go over it, you can see here, this is Ricochet. And I'll get in close actually here. Let's see, can I get the triple bounce on this guy? As you can see, no, I can get close to a triple bounce. You can see the 3 lines there, and that's because it's Ricochet, and it's bouncing off that wall, coming back, and then bouncing off the wall behind me. Now, if you're able to get him in all 3 of those, you can do a lot of damage. See, as you can see there, it did like 300 and then 500, I think. And then it would have done probably, I don't know, 700 or something if it hit with the 3rd one. So that's like 1,500 freaking right there. Granted, again, this is the level 1 Odin bot who doesn't have probably any items, so take that with a grain of salt. His Mark of the Crow. Just gotta hit any god within that radius there. We're not gonna put that on him now because I'm gonna need the cooldown for when I go over his abilities here. Oh shit! Dive bomb. I didn't. I forgot it's like instant cast, so we'll wait for that. Okay, so here is his ultimate. It's for the Sunbreaker. As you can see, the radius is pretty big. And that will come down within that radius. You can get one god, you can get the entire team. Now, if an Odin had placed their ring and they don't have an ability, they don't have any way to get out, and they don't have that Phantom Relic where they can walk through the wall, you could potentially hit any god within that ring with this ultimate. Ares pulls, and they don't have purification, or they already burned their purification. You drop this right down where Ares is pulling, and it's going to do damage. Hades is ulting and pulling them all in, and they don't have purification, etc., or a leap to get out. You drop this on top of Hades, and you guys, the 2 of you, will just do some crazy damage. Alright, let's just do this, see, and blam. Okay, so as you can see, those are all without Mark of the Golden Crow. Put the mark on. We're doing all the same amount of damage because he's not missing any health. I think if you see that 22, that's the penetration. Alright, now we're gonna stun him. He's stunned now because he had the mark. We're gonna knock him up, and the mark just disappeared. Son of a bitch. Alright, so we're gonna try knocking him up. We got 10 seconds. So, the combos are gonna be this. You have ult, and you want to go for the kill. You want to use your ult. You're gonna drop the ult, put the mark on. You're gonna put the mark on, drop the ult, stun him with your Ricochet, and then dive bomb him. Clean up. Let's put the mark here. And then knocked him up. Pretty good damage too there. Alright, so let's wait for those cooldowns. And I'll do that combo. If you don't have your ultimate and you're not going for the big kill, big combo kill, you just put the mark on the god as much as you can. More times than not, a mark on the enemy will make them back up. Will make them be a little more tentative because you can stun them. You can knock them up, and you can just do more damage because you've got the mark on there with the penetration and the additional bonus damage for the amount of health they're missing. So you ready? Alright. We're going to put the mark on. We're going to drop the suns, and then we're gonna hit him up. So you kind of aim, you kind of know where he's gonna be. More times than not, they're not gonna be standing still. You drop the mark, you drop the stun, boom, boom. They see they can't get out, and then go for the cleanup, boom. That's a lot of damage right there. That's the wombo combo of Hou Yi right there. Mark, stuns, ricochet, cleanup with the dive bomb. Now you don't have your ult anymore. You just pop this on them, and you look for those ricochets. That's, I missed, but you know what I'm saying. You try to get away the low health. Oh, you got no Helix. I missed again. and you knock them out for her pull and stuff like that. I mean, it's straightforward. That big wombo combo there that I showed you is going to be the moneymaker. You can get that off. You're probably going to kill them, no matter what, because that's a lot of damage. They're going to be stunned for probably 3-4 of those hits before they realize what the hell's going on. They might have to burn purification to get out of there, or pop a sank once the stun's gone. In terms of order that you want to rank up, you're going to want to rank up his Ricochet, his 1, his 2, his 3, and then anytime his ult comes up, you pepper that in there. 1, 2, 3, and then pepper that ult in. That's what I usually go for ranking it up. Anyway, I hope that helped any people who are looking to figure him out, needed that refresher, or are kind of trying to understand how they did so much damage with that wombo combo bullshit. This is his build. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. I hope it was helpful. Leave a comment below for any god you want to see in the future. Hit that thumbs up. Subscribe to the channel for more content to come. I'm focusing more on YouTube now, and I'm really enjoying it. And all the views and the thumbs ups, the likes, whatever you want to call them. It's awesome. I'm enjoying the support. So again, you can catch me live also on Twitter if you look down there on the lower left. That is my handle, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. I'll see you on the flip side.